today would have to be, well, the Trump tariffs. Now, those of you who don't know, the Trump administration has been doing the same, which is say they're going to be doing tariffs, but they've been, pushing them back over and over and over again. And I kind of got the sense that these tariffs were never really going to be happening because they kept being pushed back so much, and Trump was coming by and saying, "Oh, we're actually not going to do these tariffs because we just talked to these people, and President of Mexico and President of Canada, and all of a sudden, like, there's really no reason for us to do these tariffs because, we've got consensus about them, and there should be no that the presidents of each one, both of Mexico and of Canada, not only is lying, last night, or rather yesterday, the Trump tariffs finally went through, which is kind of a surprise for me, honestly. I didn't think it would actually be something that would increase attack, okay? I didn't think that would actually go through. Now, the things that are going through tariffs are insane. There's like a 25% tariff on goods coming from China. There's been like a number of goods that are being tariffed from Taiwan. The semiconductors we create over there, which is an insane thing to do. Especially since. This is damage reduction. This effect is enhanced when equipped with Gold Sun Crow. Okay, do I have Gold Sun Crow on here? I have to go and check. But yeah, which is an insane thing to do because it's going to make computers and electronics in general much more, like, incredibly more expensive. But it's just a very strange thing to do. And not only that, like goods coming from Mexico, goods coming from Canada, which, like, for those of you who don't know, about half of our imported goods come from. See how much considerably. Half of our imported goods actually come from Canada and Mexico. About, I think, 47%, roughly half. So. It's pretty bad, all things considered. It's just something that really doesn't make much sense to do, unless, of course, your entire purpose is to, of course, well, gotta figure out what might is, if I ever did figure out what that mechanic was, But, it only makes sense if you're trying to engage in a sort of wealth transference, if you would. A lot of the tariffs are really going to make prices incredibly expensive, so much so even that it's basically going to cost like a lot of people. Like already aluminum goods are really expensive right now at the moment. Like people who rely on aluminum parts for their breweries, for their various components in the machines, for a variety of like things that are basically required to have them in order to. I'm just seeing what this is. Yeah, that are basically required to have them in order to be able to have parts that actually work. It's incredibly. It's like it's already making stuff expensive. And the Dow Jones, by the way, is plummeting. In fact, let me show you what it is I mean here real quick with the Dow Jones. Because when Trump was announcing this stuff was tanking. Hold on, Dow Jones Industrial Average. Oh no, no, not the Dow Jones. So what was that? What was that thing that was going on there? Hold on for a second. Okay, my bad. The Dow Jones dipped quite a bit during the announcement, or during the announcement of the tariffs, and then all of a sudden it's risen back up to which it was. So people were going on and on about that earlier, but apparently it's raised up. So never mind, never mind. Not even gonna bother showing it. But there was another thing. Hold on, hold on. What stocks dipped during tariffs? Dow falls almost 700 points, but it already just rose back up. So, I don't know why it is people were reporting that. Honestly, that kind of pisses me off a little bit because that doesn't exactly give me a great amount of commentary to work with in terms of that. Um, but yeah, the past 5 days it's gone down, but today it's like up. It's back up by 209 points. 200, almost 210, basically 209.82. So yeah, it's kind of pisses me off that people were making a big deal about that because you know I rely on reporting for the news to determine how certain things are going to go with my commentary, and things are just going completely whack and whatnot in one way or the other with regards to stock. So, but anyways, point being is that there's going to be a lot of affected prices. In fact, affected prices affected due to due to Trump tariffs. Oh, looks like I gotta fix that real quick because I put two R's in tariffs. I never know if it's two R's or two F's to do that with. Hold on. Let me go ahead and fix this. I'm a little bit autistic when it comes to getting my spelling correctly in some regards. If I feel like I've just fucked up on the spelling, I've got to fix it. Gotta fix it. That's kind of a thing there. So let's see real quick. Yeah. Okay. There we go. I can't really fix anything with regards to Twitter, the Twitter announcement I had with on there. But let me go ahead and go on my Facebook here to re-edit that to make it so that way it's actually spelled correctly. Edit post. There we go. But yeah, aluminum goods already becoming expensive. In fact, let's see here. Are the Trump tariffs making electronics expensive yet? See here. Let me just bring this up real quick in terms of the desktop of what it is I'm looking at. No thanks, Forbes. I'm good. Block. There you go. Technology industry has long been built, yada yada yada. With the 25% tariff now imposed by the incoming Trump administration on goods from Mexico and Canada, and an additional 10% levy. Okay, so it's 10% levy on Chinese imports, not 25%. Weird that it's like 10% on Chinese imports, but 25% on goods from Mexico and Canada. Which, by the way, they're like now doing the whole like, oh, you're gonna tariff us, well, we're gonna tariff you, and like Trump has said that they're going to be doing even more tariffs. They're going to be raising the tariffs to like 50%, which is insane. Like, it's seriously just dumb. It really is. Anyways, it says Intel, TSMC, and Micron are making historic investments in U.S.-based semiconductor manufacturing, with new fabrication plants breaking ground in Arizona, Texas, and Ohio. Meanwhile, Tesla and other automakers are ramping up U.S. battery production, aiming to reduce reliance on Chinese imports. This is good. I actually do like this. We do need to stop relying on the manufacturing of electronic components from China and start producing the stuff here. It was a mistake to rely on Taiwan for in a lot of ways, because you know China is constantly and consistently antagonistic to them. And we don't know when they're going to be invading. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when they're going to be invading Taiwan. So, anyways, it says for the tech sector, the implications are seismic, as the cost of semiconductor, data center infrastructure, AI chips, and consumer electronics increases. Tech leaders must ask themselves, are we prepared for the end of globalization as we know it, and will we seize this moment to rebuild a more resilient, self-sufficient industry? Okay. Show down America's make or break moment. Cloud crunch, data center power surges, consumer electronics squeeze, higher prices across the board. Okay, this is the one I'm looking for. The cost of consumer electronics is about to go up, and retailers are already scrambling to manage the fallout. Laptops, smartphones, gaming consoles, and electronic vehicles will all get more expensive as manufacturers adjust to the new tariff landscape. Apple may have to raise iPhone prices as the cost of assembling devices outside China increases. Tesla and Ford will see higher EV production costs as tariffs hit lithium-ion battery imports. Consumers will feel the squeeze with some price hikes on everything from TVs to routers to smart home devices. Major retailers are already bracing for impact. Target's CEO Brian Cornell has warned that consumers will see price hikes on imported goods, including groceries, within days. Target and other retailers are now racing to shift production away from China to avoid the worst effects. Walmart, while somewhat shielded by its focus on U.S. sourced goods, will still be hit by rising costs on imported electronics and household items. Now, I'll be perfectly honest, while I do like the fact that this is actually making manufacturers in these various different companies attempt to try and reduce the reliance on imports into this country with regards to servicing our goods and whatnot, I think it's a little bit of a problem that Trump is relying only on tariffs, because he's not doing anything else. He's not creating any kind of other incentive structure to get people on there. Like, oh, we're going to give you the stick, which is like that, but where's the carrot, huh? Where exactly is it that Trump is giving people a means of being able to, like, I don't know, maintain profitability, manufacturing? There's no means of any kind of rebate. There's no corporate tax write-offs that he's giving out whatsoever that will actually make people go and say, oh, yeah, we are manufacturing our goods here, and that will give us more of a tax write-off as a result of that. Using a tax write-off to incentivize companies to build their manufacturing there would be a major thing. But Trump's not doing it. It's a bit of an issue. So, and this is just going to cause major issues down the line. When it comes down to it. Because here's the thing here, Trump could just arbitrarily, and apparently he is doing this with Canada and Mexico, arbitrarily just raising the percentage on these tariffs. For almost no reason, for all intents and purposes. Hold on for a second, I think my brother wants stuff. And in the long term, really, like this may become more chaotic as time goes by. I don't really know. I mean, if things kind of stop becoming so unpredictable with how Trump is treating the tariffs, instead of actually, because we know what's going on here, like with Trump. Because the tariffs aren't an effort to get manufacturing back to America. is going around. The region where they can trade out. All that we have to do, all we have to stay on this and to throw out completely useless.
What comfort does this heart ignore? A humble drink in solace I adore. Fine brood deserves a fitting goal. Here, take this. The Bull King accepted his destiny, but there are others who refuse to do the same. And his strife confounds even the wisest. Why should we meddle? With the full gods dropped by my side, let cares drift away into the tide. The Bull King accepted his destiny, family strife, but with the full gods dropped.
How odd to encounter this whole family queen board. So mythical. Okay, very nice. I mean, it sort of basically creates a Trump either giving you a reality or it's just going to really socializing. And I have to wonder which one it is. Now, it's very but it has to, you have to wonder whether or not they actually see the things that they're seeing, or whether or not they're just going it over in their minds and just saying, nope, it's just the Democrats' fault. Nope, it's just Biden's fault. Nope, it's just whoever it is to blame, that's to blame, that I was told to blame, it's their fault. Like how many of these Trump supporters are actually in a cult versus how many of them are just not being told the truth? Anyways, that's really all I had to say on that. I will probably go ahead and stop the stream for the moment just to get some food here. But once I come back, I'm going to be commenting on a bit of a video here. And oh, look at that! My stream's already collapsing. Yeah. It looks like my capability of being able to do a stream correctly isn't going to go well. So, don't know why. I guess I gotta start earlier in the morning, I suppose. Probably right when I wake up. So, yeah. And since it's only been about, I don't know, about 30 minutes here, I think I'll... Oh, it's picking back up now. Nope, it's... Well... Seems to be having issues with the connection. I might have to go ahead and see if I can get in contact with the internet provider here and see what's going on, because this seems to be a bit of an issue here. I don't know why. But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and continue. It doesn't seem to be a problem. is that that? No, no, that's Gold Sun Crow. Okay, see what the gold button is. Okay. Alright. Alright, nice. There is a shrine up there. Okay, I'm gonna go and get to the shrine. I will take a bit of a break here. Oh, looks like my internet just sort of propped itself back up there. Okay. I gotta go ahead and see what the deal is with that then. 'Cause I can't be doing streaming and then all of a sudden have to end my stream because the internet is just taking all wrong. Rest. And I will be right back. And I'm going to be commenting on this video every so often, just so that way I'm not like content stealing or anything else there. But it is a video that I kind of wanted to respond to at some point in time because it's by a guy named Adam something. And okay, that should be an interesting video to check out at some point, but not right now. Now, Adam Something is a channel that I particularly do like, and I do think is relevant for all intents and purposes for all the... Wait a second, did he remove... No, he didn't. I was about to say, I didn't see the video for a second, but he must have done a bunch of other videos. But anyways, yeah, he has done like a lot of great videos on infrastructure and various other things with regards to, like, you know, the most insane Russian propaganda. Obviously, that's a good one. Very good video there. Russian government Pulp Fiction is beyond insane. That would be a good one if I was a member of any of these guys, but I'm not. So, you know, but his Warhammer video is just so bad.
In the movies, Clark Kent.
For such a obviously bad reasons.
Why is everyone spiraling over YouTube banning?
In the movies, Clark Kent is the mask worn by Superman.
Crispy fish and beef and cheddar, 2 for $6.99.
I need to put ad block pie on my my browser here at some point, but I'll do that later.
Warhammer is a universe where people fight wars using hammers. Okay, not really. Warhammer 40k is a massive, bombastic universe in the grimdark future of the 40th millennium where humanity is fighting wars on an epic scale on multiple fronts against all sorts of horrors. Space orcs, space elves, literal demons from hell, humans corrupted by literal demons from hell, the Zerg, and also the Tau. Warhammer got its start as a tabletop game, and at the core it still is. Imagine chess but more complex, where two players bring out their hand-painted armies of miniatures and battle it out on a large board. It's a cool experience at game stores or game bars, where you get to meet people, socialize, and show off your cool miniatures.
So already there's a lot of problems with this here, because Warhammer as a franchise has basically just completely and utterly has outgrown the niche area of tabletop and has now basically gotten into a multimedia franchise. You know, it's kind of like how Star Wars was originally just movies, but eventually, like, it started becoming books and comics and, you know, and video games and whatnot, and stopped becoming like just movies and just became a multimedia franchise unto itself. And I think that's important to recognize, of course, because when it comes down to it, there are a lot of ways in which to enjoy Warhammer. I primarily enjoy it through the franchise of video games and through lore tidbits here and there. And there's a lot of things going on with regards to... Hold on. With regards to the lore and how things operate and the way in which things are. You know, there's a lot of depth to the setting and to everything else involved in here that it's kind of hard to summarize everything. Like, you could say that Warhammer is a satire of fascism, but that doesn't encompass all the effort, all the elements that go into Warhammer that make it so very unique and interesting. But, you know, if you want a basic understanding, this is kind of an understanding here, I guess you could say, that's not entirely invalid, but doesn't capture the full scope of the picture here.
Today, however, the Warhammer IP has already outgrown its tabletop niche and now includes ultra-popular AAA game titles such as the latest Space Marine 2, with more than...
Not just AAA game titles, obviously. There's also shows now that they're trying to produce. There are comics that have been going on. There have been long-standing novels that have been published, so it's not just video games. It's a multimedia franchise at this point.
2 million copies sold worldwide, but the Warhammer IP has not been without its controversies. We now have gamer-gators accusing the parent company, Games Workshop, of turning the game woke by introducing into it the most absurd creatures of all: women. No, wait, it's actually even more ridiculous. Gamer-gators are mad that Games Workshop changed the lore of one of the factions that no one plays or cares about by saying that some of its soldiers can be women. If you...
Now, to say that the Adeptus Custodes is a faction that nobody really cares about is indicative of the fact that, like, of a number of things. One, it shows his bias, that he doesn't really understand the setting to begin with. Two, it showcases that he doesn't really fucking know what the fuck he's talking about. Like, a very popular faction, not only among competitive players as well, but also within the lore. It's something that a lot of people like, and a lot of people make a bunch of jokes about. In fact, the entirety of If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech device is based on the Emperor and his interactions with a particular custodes, that is his caretaker. So yeah, it's total bullshit the way in which he's portraying this. Is he salty that he kept losing against Adeptus Custodes? Is that the issue there? I don't really know. But let's go and continue.
When it's you selling the miniatures, you can decide what have you put on them, and this resulted in a global outrage among people who had never touched a Warhammer miniature.
Now, let me go ahead and point out here that while there were a bunch of retarded freaks, right-wing troglodytes who, for the most part, don't really play the setting at all, and only latch onto it because it's a part of the culture war. It's an indication, more or less, that to say that these are the only people that had a problem with what the addition of females into the Adeptus Custodes was, that this was the only issue here, is completely and only just retarded. Because for all intents and purposes, like, that's not really the case of what happened there. There were a bunch of people who felt that this was just retconning the lore to appeal to various demographics that won't really buy any more of the miniatures and won't be really swayed one way or the other to buy them. No, because they already have their factions invested into it. I mean, what year was the... Hold on real quick, let's look this up. Don't want to get my information wrong. I don't play the tabletop, in case you didn't know. What year were Adeptus Custodes added to tabletop? 2017. So that was when they became fieldable in 2017. And, well, it's not that hard to figure out, really. Like, anyone who was... In fact, hold on real quick. Let me make sure I got this information right. When did females get introduced into Adeptus Custodes? I think this was relatively recently. Alright, I'm just going to say last year, because it's not giving me a specific date. And I remember it being some... Yeah, here are the... Yeah, okay, so never mind. Yeah, it's last year. So, it was last year. Anyone who was playing Adeptus Custodes at this point in time would not have been swayed to field or get invested into the Adeptus Custodes faction at all, simply by virtue of there being females. That would not have been the case whatsoever. So, yeah. And the reason why it's a bit of a retcon is not because that, oh, it's unbelievable that women will be a part of this. It's the fact that, like, the faction has been explained multiple times as being mainly made up of men, because these people are hand-picked and written in terms of the genetics by the Emperor himself. And there's even some ideas or some notions that they might actually contain genetics from the Emperor. And since the Emperor is a man and not a female, it wouldn't really make much sense for them to actually be... it wouldn't make any sense for them, for their ranks to actually contain women. Not to mention, you also have the Sisters of Silence, which are a part of the Adeptus Custodes faction, but they are themselves completely separate there. There wasn't really any reason to add females to them. You know, in fact, there was more of a reason to make Sisters of Silence more prominent. So there were other problems with this beyond the chuds, which is what he seems to be hinting at as the only problem. But no, it wasn't the case.
That's it, Games Workshop. I could suspend my disbelief for space orcs, space elves, and hell in space run by space demons. But women? If women are real, how come I never touched one? On the other hand, opposite to the aggregators, we have an increasing number of voices saying that Warhammer 40k is starting to become problematic by turning from a satire of fascism into a celebration of it, especially with the latest Space Marine 2.
Those people are completely retarded. The thing is that the setting of Warhammer has always had this element of heroism and dedication towards selling the setting in an unironic fashion, while at the same time containing layers of critique and criticism of fascism and satirization of fascism underneath that effort. That's always been the case. It's always been a thing there. So, to act like, oh, this isn't a clear satire of fascism, which, like most people, when they say satire, what they mean is that, oh, it's not making fun of fascism directly because it's not acting as a parody satire rather than just a full on satire, There's satire as parody, and then there's satire as commentary, which satire is just commentary. There's no reason why it should be over the top, bombastic, funny at all. And the people who are complaining about this are saying, it's not funny, it's not satirizing, when in fact they're just complaining about the fact that it's not a parody.
To GamerGators counter this by accusing such critics of overreaction. It's just a game, you're taking it way too seriously, nobody wants to be a literal space Nazi, you guys need to chill the fuck out, they say. So what's going on here? Do GamerGators have a point? Is Warhammer turning woke? Or are the critics correct here, and Warhammer is indeed turning into a celebration of fascism?
Or how about there's a third option? The critics are stupid, the GamerGators are stupid, and you all just need to chill the fuck out and actually enjoy the setting for all intents and purposes for what it actually gives you.
Answering this question, we need to talk about Starship Troopers, the subject of much online discussion as of late. Now, please hold that thought for a moment and let me pay some bills.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and skip this one because there was a guy I ended up watching at some point in time with regards to this video here. Hold on for a second. Add him something. Warhammer. Let me find the video here. Yeah, Westside Taylor. Watch this video. He also has a video on Starship Troopers, which goes over quite a bit of it. And it's just utterly, completely retarded, the way in which he draws parallels to it. Although there are things that he says about it, Starship Troopers. Hold on. Which is pretty good and pretty much on point. Things I didn't really know what here. And this is an actual video on Starship Troopers. Yeah, he did a pretty in-depth essay. Now, I didn't watch all of it, as you can obviously see here. I only watched up to, 15 minutes, effectively. Or 25 minutes, I guess you could say. But it should be noted that this point is completely and utterly garbage. So yeah, we're going to go and skip through this. Skip. 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 Yeah. Okay.
If an otherwise horrible faction is depicted as badass and handsome in an ID, If an otherwise horrible faction is depicted as badass and handsome in an ID, some people will start idolizing them and co-opt their visuals.
That is known as media literacy. You cannot seriously tell me that people should make art and make a franchise dependent upon how media illiterate people are, because otherwise you won't really get anywhere. You just have to make your message the way in which you want to. Hold on, I need a knife here. Fork is not just cutting. Double entendre. Yeah, so anyways, you just need to be able to make your art the way in which you want to. And if people are being media illiterate about it, there's nothing really you can do about that other than point out how they're incorrect in how they're misinterpreting your piece of art there. And if they still don't get it, they still want to argue with it, you being the creator obviously, then they can go fuck themselves. I've always had this particular stance here. When it comes down to it, that's not your job as an artist to make sure people understand your art the way in which you intended it to. You know, sometimes people are just going to misconstrue shit, and they're going to do so for a variety of different reasons. People believing that um, people believing that the Force Awakens is far more profound than it actually is isn't exactly the problem of J.J. Abrams. You know, it's a problem of people being media illiterate. There's nothing really you can do about that. And trying to place an importance on this rather than simply just making the art is just going to bog creators down. So I don't really care.
Some people will start idolizing them and co-opt their visuals, no matter how monstrous the faction is or how much satire you heap on. And this brings us to Warhammer 40k. Let's consider its opening paragraphs. It is the 41st millennium. For more than 100 centuries, the Emperor has sat immobile on the golden throne of Earth. He is the master of mankind by the will of the gods and the master of a million worlds by the might of his inexhaustible armies. He is a rotting carcass, riding invisibly with power from the dark age of technology. He is the carrion lord of the Imperium, for whom 1,000 souls are sacrificed every day so that he may never truly die. Vast armies give battle in his name on uncounted worlds. But for all their multitudes, they are barely enough to hold off the ever-present threat from aliens, heretics, mutants, and worse. To be a man in such times is to be one amongst untold billions. It is to live in the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable. These are the tales of those times. Forget the power of technology and science, for so much has been forgotten, never to be relearned. Forget the promise of progress and understanding, for in the grim dark future there is only war. There is no peace among the stars, only an eternity of carnage and slaughter, and the laughter of thirsting gods. The 40k universe is a rough place. It's basically war and suffering turned up to a ridiculous level, and it kinda works. Warhammer 40k manages to straddle the line between epic and silly, nailing the perfect ratio of the two. And this works really well for the board game. You both bring out your armies you spent 200 plus hours painting, one of you fields Chaos Marines, the other Astra Militarum, and you duke it out in this silly but epic setting, having lots of fun in the process. This over-the-top horrifying universe is a great niche for tabletop games played by nerds, including yours truly. But what if you want to make a universally appealing AAA video game? How do you implement this idea that everything in the grimdark future is horrible, the soldiers are brainwashed drones dying for nothing, and that the wars you fight are completely hopeless, and all of you are essentially doomed? How
Completely misses the entire context of the actual universe itself and goes entirely on in and about an effort to portray things based entirely on a single blurb. Yes, the Imperium is monstrous. Yes, the entire intro that Eddie read off is factually accurate. However, it doesn't describe how it is the people themselves see it. The people within the universe see everything as happening the way in which it is as being an effort to hope, as being an effort to actually continue and to persevere against these dominating forces and these efforts to break humanity. So, you know, most people consider 40k to basically be a franchise from which everything sucks. And that's true. Everything does suck in the universe. But there's enough in-universe information to indicate that there's a lot of people who are trying to be heroic in a setting one which rolling over just gets you dead. And really, for all intents and purposes, that's a bit of a thing there. Now you can make a lot of satirical commentary, a lot of satirical commentary with regards to how this plays into fascist ideology, sure, but for all intents and purposes, you have to go ahead and make it in a fashion that actually appeals to not just mainstream people, but also to those of us who are fans of the series.
How do you make an enjoyable AAA game around these ideas? Games Workshop thought long and hard and decided that they'll just kind of forget about most of the grimdark stuff.
Nope, nope, nope. They did not. They did not whatsoever. There are literally commentary. There are literally moments, one which you're speaking to, one which you have people in the background speaking to servitors, and it shows how fucked up this mentality is of treating humans the way in which they do, because servitors are quite literally humans who have had their brains lobotomized in many regards. And the way in which they regard servitors is like less than human. So no, it's not. They didn't forget about the grimdark shit. You're just lying.
These Space Marine games, while containing hints of the absurdity of the Imperium, are for the most part made to make the player feel like a cool, epic, badass war hero soldier mowing down thousands of enemies without breaking a sweat. And with that, Games Workshop has made the biggest mistake possible when it comes to depicting fascists. They made them appear cool and badass. And yes, Space Marines are fascists. They're turbo space Nazis who will turn you into minced meat if you say something they deem heretical. Atrocities, purges, and genocide.
This is completely false. The Space Marines are not one note. They are not all the same. They are not all alike. And they are not all mindless drones. Anyone who knows anything about the setting whatsoever can tell you that Space Marines are all individualistic. They will have disagreements within their chapters. They will have disagreements between chapters. And they will have disagreements with individuals within their squad. You have people who are, you have Space Marine chapters like the Salamanders, who are constantly and consistently, every time they are depicted, trying to save humans of the Imperium. They are attempting to, and in fact there is a very good animated bit here, real quick. Let me find it. One which a salamander, hold on. Under. One which an Adeptus Sororitas and a Salamander are trying to. Let's do Sister of Battle, rather. Yep. Sister of Battle. Yeah, so this is on Pariah Nexus. This is something that GW themselves wrote. The Sister of Battle was literally going to go ahead and end up killing a bunch of civilians. And then the Salamander himself, let me see if I can find the specific clip here, was going to go ahead and kill a bunch of civilians. The Salamander stepped in the way and prevented her from doing that. I might not be able to find this specific clip, so I'm not going to bother doing so. But my point is that there are Space Marines out there. They are not turbo-fascist Nazis. There are some of those that are mainly very, shall we say, compassionate in terms of what they're doing. You know, so it's a lie. It's a misrepresentation. He doesn't know jack shit about Space Marines. He'll later say that they're mindless drones when they're not mindless drones.
Or just par for the course for them. If your service to the Imperium means mowing down 10,000 civilians because there might be heretics among them, so be it. You're murdering women and children without any second thought or remorse because you are a mindless drone bred for combat, and that's just what it's like to live under the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable.
You see, that's the problem with this. This guy doesn't know jack shit of what he's talking about. It's very clear. I don't get how his fans could really like this.
If you doubt me, I invite you to check out the episode in the Garden of Ghosts from the Hammer and Bolter series, where we are treated to a scene of a purged Forge world. No, wait, that's the Adeptus Mechanicus thing. Alright. Craft world. That's a giant space habitat, basically, where the Eldari, the space elves, live. Home to millions at minimum. Well, the noble Ultramarines massacred the entire Forge world, murdering untold thousands of men, women, and children. Because they were Xenos, therefore degenerate, therefore worthy of death.
Alright. It should be known that within the lore itself, that while this is portrayed as fairly monstrous, obviously, and it is something to be known, the Eldar aren't exactly, like, innocent in and of themselves. They view humanity as nothing more than simple animals who can barely think for themselves. And they show very little regard for people's well-being. Now, obviously there are differences in terms of, like, various different Eldari. There are Eldari who are more interested in helping humanity, but that's because by helping humanity, they help themselves. So, and let's not forget the fact that the Eldari also had this issue of fucking Slanesh into existence. Sorry, murder fucking Slanesh into existence. Like, they got so bored with their lives that they couldn't do anything else but just continuously murder and fuck and murder and murder, fuck murder, all that stuff. Torture, rape, kill, pillage, just because they were fucking bored. And as a result, this birthed a literal dark god into existence that fucked over everyone. So yeah, it's a pretty obvious thing there, and not to mention, like, them doing that with Slanesh was what actually caused the Emperor to start his whole thing of trying to reunite humanity. Because humanity was going through its own golden age of technology, although they call it dark age of technology. But, like, basically what was going on is that they were exploring, they were having all kinds of efforts to master the entirety of the universe, and were basically on their way to reaching a sort of dominance technologically within the galaxy that would rival that of the Eldar, who had mastered the ability of being able to basically die for a bit and then coming back to life. Like, and then dying again and then coming back to life again. So yeah, but because of Slanesh, because of what they did, that set humanity back massively. It created psychers throughout the population, and as a result, like, the tumultuous way in which the way in which Slanesh was birthed through their very existence, it quite literally made it so that way humanity was, well, let's just say, fucked would be an understatement. So yeah, there's a bit of a history involved in there. And because the Emperor is who he is, he probably taught humanity quite a bit about the Eldari and how they fuck things up. Obviously leaving out the fact that they birthed a literal god into existence. Because, he didn't want people knowing about chaos at all. But he probably fed forth information that more or less just has sort of established how it is that they fucked everything over. And as a result, there's this huge amount of animosity between humans and Eldari. So it's not like that this is just mindless fascism for the sake of fascism. There's some history behind this stuff. And the fact that he's trying to portray it as just what he's doing here showcases his dishonesty. So yeah.
Shout out to Purity Seal for this 4K title. You can find his channel number at the Purity Seal. In popular first-person shooters, however, such things cannot be depicted because your game would be banned worldwide. A Warhammer 40k shooter game true to the lore would be a war crime simulator.
Remember, no rushing.
And it would just be weird playing as a psychotic, murderous maniac committing crimes against humanity for 8 hours without any self-awareness or remorse. Actually that sounds like super fun and— wait, I'm sorry, this video is for people 13 and above. Who let these children in here? But I love playing as an unrepentant murderous psycho. Yeah, try playing Mass Effect as a renegade. Don't believe me? Apparently, according to Mass Effect player stats, 92% of players played as Paragon and only 8% as Renegade. Most people just don't want to be an asshole, not even in video games. But even if a Warhammer shooter was true to form and the player was made to feel like a disposable cog in a purposeless murder machine tasked with the occasional genocide, there are people who would love that and would absolutely play that game.
You know, if you want to have that as a part of your game, Dark Tide is there. There you go. Just play that. Just play Dark Tide. There you go. Problem solved.
I get that, but if you're making a game, you want to appeal to the widest audience possible, not just to people on terror.
I don't really get this whole idea that if you want to make a game, you want to make it as to the widest possible audience as possible. No, that's not what you do, okay? Not everyone is like me, for example, who will play strategy games, action adventures, RPGs, action RPGs, tabletop simulators, side scrollers, all kinds of different genres. Most people who play video games are not like me because quite literally most people stick within a specific kind of genre. Most people either play first person shooters, most people either play strategy games, most people either play action games. They play these specific genres and they stick with these specific genres, and if there's nothing interesting within these genres, they don't play video games. That's how that works. Alright? There is no casting a wider audience of net here when it comes to when it comes to developing video games, because you have to be specific in your niche. You have to be specific in what it is you're trying to appeal towards. Because if you try to be every fucking thing, then you end up alienating quite a bit of an already established fan base, as well as the fact that the game won't really have long-term appeal for the most part. That's what video games are trying to engage with. They're trying to be long-term appealing. And you can tell this guy doesn't fucking play video games by and large, because it's very clear that he doesn't understand how this operates, how this works.
In Space Marine 2, the latest Warhammer 40k game ended up doing the former, choosing appeal over what I would call honesty about its universe.
It was pretty honest. And you're not very honest either, so I don't get what it is you're trying to say here.
A mindless, psychotic drone, killing in the name of a doomed fascist empire, but a noble, heroic warrior, protecting your home from freaks and degenerates.
You see what I mean by when I say that this is a very bad presentation of it? Because he literally calls the Space Marines mindless and psychotic genocidal warriors, when that's never how they're ever portrayed in any fashion whatsoever in any part of the lore at all. Maybe this was a thing when Warhammer was starting back in the 80s, but after a certain point, after like the early 2000s got rolling along, this was not the case. This was no longer the case. Maybe he's an old school fan who is just mad at the fact that Warhammer has changed so much. I don't really know. I don't really care. It's just really, really bad.
The overt satire is basically gone because it had to be. There are allusions to the Imperium being bad, but not nearly overt enough. A Warhammer 40k true to form would be like a version of Modern Warfare where every second mission is no Russian, only even more bloody and deranged. But if anyone...
This is the whole thing of like, it's not a true Warhammer representation. You sound like fucking chuds. You sound like the chuds, but on the opposite end of the spectrum here.
Anyone released a game like that, most countries wouldn't even let them publish it. Keep in mind, by the way, that
Just bullshit. Just pure bullshit. You can publish whatever game you want, and you can put forth whatever thing you want in whatever game, so long as it has its proper age-appropriate ratings. I mean, seriously, we're living in a day and age in which Steam allows you to publish games that are adult only. What is this nonsense? He also seems to think that hyper-masculine, violent video games were never really a thing. When you have, let's see, what's that Rockstar game again? Rockstar video game list. So what was the name of that game again? I'm blanking on it right now. Hold on. Manhunt, yeah. You have games like Manhunt. No. Oh, no, that's probably not what I'm thinking of. Oh no, this is the game I'm thinking of. Yeah, you have games like this, for example, which are extremely fucking violent. Like, just unusually violent. And this game sold quite a bit. And it was published by Rockstar. It's like, see? Like, saying that the game he's describing would be banned worldwide is an indication of his Eurobrain bullshit in which he doesn't play video games. This is pure nonsense.
I do like Space Marine 2, and I do think it's a good game. Just before anyone start yelling at me, the game isn't bad actually. I agree, it's a good game, it's cool and epic, and I like it. But there are overarching issues with it, which we're currently discussing.
But you aren't discussing any of the issues. You're making issues up. You're making shit up. Sorry, man. That's just how it is.
Now, the reason why the Warhammer 40k books and tabletop games are allowed to get away with containing atrocities while video games aren't is because in the game you would get to act out said atrocities. At the very least, we would get vivid depictions of them. You don't just read about, say, Space Marines murdering 10,000 women and children, or you don't just play with miniatures of a Space Marine faction, which according to the lore once murdered 10,000 women and children. Nope. This is an interactive video game where you are a Space Marine, and congratulations, your next mission is to purge a civilian slum of 10,000 where the presence of heretics is suspected.
I'm going to stop here because this is just more of an indication that he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about with regards to video games and doesn't know anything about video games at all, which is indicative of the fact that he doesn't really play video games. But anyways, I wanted to continue on at this point.
Brave champions protecting white civilization from an onslaught of swarthy subhumans who would destroy all they've built. And since the video games have an overwhelming cultural influence compared to the books or the tabletop, the game's portrayal of Warhammer 40k becomes dominant in popular culture.
Okay, let me be perfectly clear here. Pop culture doesn't fucking matter when it comes to how a franchise, a multimedia franchise like Warhammer, like Star Wars, like Star Trek and whatnot, how it will be received by its long-term fan base, alright? These franchises will sometimes grow and grow and grow, and eventually they get pop culture status, and eventually their pop culture status will die off, and then it will either shrink back into the group that was always there, that will always be there, and will continue to exist in the form through which it was always existing in, or it will just die off. The Wizard of Oz is a primary example of this. The Wizard of Oz franchise was books and movies and a few television shows. That more or less was how it was defined. The movie and the television shows were how the whole thing was defined by pop culture, but eventually it just died off. And by dying off, I mean that eventually just the creator who was writing the books died, and then it went into public domain. in which case it's always had a dedicated fan base, a dedicated group of readers who themselves have kept it alive through their own fan fiction. And it hasn't really changed beyond that. So, this idea that somehow pop culture is going to change how the franchise operates is just pure and utter horseshit. You know, the Mario video games have been around for a very long time. They are achieving pop culture status due to the movies that's coming out and due to efforts by Nintendo. But the games themselves aren't really going to change very much. They're going to primarily stay the same. They're not going to start adapting stuff into the. They're not going to start adapting stuff from the movies into the video games. That's not going to be how that's going to work. They're going to use the movies and pop culture, the various different forms of pop culture that they put out there to drive people to play the video games and to get them into the video games. It's not going to be the other way around. Okay, the franchise won't change because of this. But let's continue.
So unlike how the average person thinks of Superman as an unfeeling alien god, that's because those god-awful Snyder movies depicted him as such.
Okay, this is where I stopped here because it's very clear that he doesn't know what the fuck is going on here. Superman was never portrayed as an unfeeling god whatsoever in those movies. At all. Period. Nada. Zip, zilch, zero. That was never a thing, okay? People will try to proclaim that was the case. Hold on. Superman inside burning building gift. People like to portray or like to proclaim that that was the case because of this scene here. They think for some reason people looked at this scene. Okay, it's not coming up. I don't know why. For some reason people looked at this scene here and thought, oh, he's just unfeeling. It's not coming up here. Don't know why. Let's try another one. Not very good quality. Let's try again here. Try to find another one that's better. You know what? Let me just go and go through here. Real quick. Hold on. Just pull it up on YouTube here. Snyder, Superman, burning Congress.
Why is it called? Wix gives you the freedom to tell your story.
Fuck off. Okay. So, anyways, let's see here real quick. Alright, okay. So, people see this scene here and think, oh, he's so unfeeling, he doesn't really care that people died and whatnot. When in fact it's like, if you look at the way in which he's reacting to all of this, like just watch this, and how do people see that he's uncaring and unfeeling? He looks like he's about to cry. He looks like he's just holding back the fact that he's about to cry. How? Did you even watch that movie? Did you even see anything about it? There are multiple times in which it shows that Superman is not unfeeling and uncaring. When he's interacting with Batman, when they do their little battle and whatnot, like, he's trying to reason with Batman in a way that's pleading with him. How? Like, and nobody thinks of Batman, and nobody thinks of Superman as unfeeling and unemotional,
Is an unfeeling alien god.
and nobody sees Superman whatsoever in that. Nobody thought that. Nobody, all right, thinks that of Superman because of the Zack Snyder movies. Anyone who thinks that that's what Zack Snyder was going for is a retard. They don't know what the heck they're talking about. They have no idea what they're saying. at all.
That's because those god-awful Snyder movies depicted him as such. Meanwhile, in the comics,
But they didn't. So
he's this cool and friendly guy. I believe Cosmonaut Variety Hour put it best, and I'm paraphrasing, in the movies,
yeah, Cosmonaut Variety Hour is that retard I'm talking about. He is quite literally a person with no standards who will say, "This is a thing that's my standard," and then like one or two videos later will go completely against that standard and completely throw everything out and go against what he originally said. He is so unreliable that it is phenomenal how it is you actually saw his videos and thought to yourself, huh, this is a guy that's trustworthy. Cosmonaut Variety Hour is a clown.
Clark Kent is the mask worn by Superman. But in reality, Superman is the mask worn by Clark Kent. But due to the movie's overwhelming cultural impotence, and I'm paraphrasing, in the movies, Clark Kent is the mask worn by Superman. But in reality, Superman is the mask worn by Clark Kent. But due to the movie's overwhelming cultural influence on
Okay, this kind of shit is basically Batman bullshit, okay? They're trying to draw. Let's see, what.
meanwhile, in the comics, he's this cool and friendly guy. I believe Cosmonaut Variety Hour put it best, and I'm paraphrasing, in the movies, Clark Kent is the mask worn by Superman. But in reality, Superman is the mask worn by Clark Kent.
Okay. At no point whatsoever is that a message given whatsoever in the movies. No movie ever depicts Superman as wearing the mask of Clark Kent or Clark Kent wearing the mask of Superman. Superman and Clark Kent are one and the same character. Clark Kent and his behavior masks people's ability to be able to identify him as Superman because he doesn't want that to be the case, because he wants to protect those who are closest to him. That's why he acts somewhat like a little bumbling oaf. That's why he has this posture thing. Hold on real quick. That's why Superman Clark Kent posture picture. That's why you have shit like this. He's trying to protect those people who are closest to him from the enemies who would actually target him. That's what's going on there. Clark Kent is not. Clark Kent is portrays himself as quite literally a Boy Scout. People call Clark Kent a Boy Scout in the same vein that they call Superman a Boy Scout. They just don't realize that they're one and the same. Alright? Lois Lane often refers to him as Boy Scout when she knows him only as Clark Kent. Lex Luthor calls Superman Boy Scout because he only knows him as Superman. Their values are the same thing. They're not different people. They're not masks, okay? The mask thing is a Batman shit. Alright? And that's there's a whole nother rant I could go on about Batman and how people misinterpret the fucking mask shit with Batman. But yeah, this is an indication that he doesn't know anything about these I guess I'll say, some people say nerd properties, but I prefer geek properties because nerd implies something completely different. But yeah, this is just completely just wrong, incorrect. See how long I've been going on about this. Okay, about like an hour.
But due to the movie's overwhelming cultural influence over the comics, the movie Superman becomes the cultural standard. Same with Warhammer 40k.
No, 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 and no, because quite literally, no one thinks of Superman as an unfeeling god, as an unfeeling alien god. No one thinks that at all. No one does. Anyone who does say that that's what Zack Snyder movies were doing are people shitting on Zack Snyder movies for not portraying Superman accurately. And they're wrong for saying that, but even the people who say this about the film as a problem are saying it as a problem of the film. Fuck off.
The original video games will be the ones dictating the IP's public perception, not the niche books or the tabletop game.
Except the niche books and the tabletop game are what define Warhammer. You can't really actually, like, portray Warhammer without that background. That's where most of the source material is written. That's most of what the lore is establishing and whatnot. No one's going to go ahead and change this stuff the way in which he's thinking. That it doesn't work like that. This doesn't work like that with franchises. It just doesn't. He's just making shit up.
Surprisingly, the far-right began co-opting Warhammer 40k already a few years ago. God Emperor Trump
By already a few years ago, you mean back in 2015. When did God Emperor Trump start becoming a meme? So I thought that would be a Wikipedia thing that would actually give me that. Here we go. Know your imp. Know your meme. Yeah, see, 2015. Like I said, by a few years ago, he means almost a literal decade ago. In fact, when was this video published again? 3 months? Yeah, a literal decade ago is when that happened. And nobody and Warhammer has yet to have ceded to the far right. Like nobody is defining anything by the far right, you know? Hold on. Oh yeah, I already made a point of reference here, with regards to my comment. Like the other problem I have is why is he pretending that GW was the one who actually dictated how this game was portraying the Imperium Man and everything else there? It's not. GW is the publisher. They're the IP holder. They license shit out. They wouldn't dictate anything with regards to this shit, unless of course it was like completely against their IP, in which case they let it happen. So fuck off.
Trump being the most obvious example. Also God Emperor Putin, go figure. Now, far-right fans of Warhammer don't actually play the tabletop game, so you won't be meeting them in real life.
Neither do you. Neither do you.
Online though, Warhammer 40k communities are often literal cancer, with people unironically parroting the fascist propaganda of the Imperium. Burn the heretics, kill the mutants, purge the ugly. It is better to die for the Emperor rather than to live for yourself. And open mind is like a fortress with its gates unguarded. Kill lots of Xenos and got going. For the Emperor, here's this image depicting an Imperium guardsman blowing himself up with a Midori, basically.
Okay, I'm not going to continue to watch the rest of this because it's very clear how fucking retarded it is. And I hope I've demonstrated that. I'm probably going to go ahead and cut this video out, cut this little segment out for it, but you get the point, alright?
voice in this. But Ping told me the Destined One had arrived.
The Destined One, who doesn't even know what he's destined for. Those old bastards must have pulled a muscle coming up with the name.
You and I both know who he truly is. When the time comes, your children, your husband, and even this very palace could all turn to ashes.
What do I have to fear from a mere pawn? He's no match for us. He can't even rival the power of my fan.
Once the truth is revealed, suddenly he is here. Do you not find it odd? Such a twist of fate.
The truth? The truth of what? Who are you talking about?
I heard the Destined One had obtained all the other relics. Rakshasi, your situation is grave. Do you not see who mandated his return? Were those relics really bestowed for your good? Perhaps amid these schemes and plots, we've unwittingly become stepping stones for his rebirth. For others, I care not. All along, you are all I care for. I say we should leave together. I vow to treasure you dearly, just like when we're up there.
I never thought that one day you'd be the only one I can rely on. I am overwhelmed. Come, sit with me, and tell me what to do.
Don't let him, Mother! Don't you see? He's taking advantage of you! You lecher! I called for your help, not your treachery! How dare you!
A child of a concubine should know better manners. When I first crossed paths with her, your bull of a father was no more than livestock, munching on a patch of grass.
Have you no shame? Mother, don't be fooled!
Enough of your endless prattle. Now, that's better. Rakshasi, have we not been this close since our time in Tushita Palace?
Well, yes, I do miss the old days too. We were so happy back then.
What in the blazes?
No tricks here. It's just my hoof. You deserve to know before we kiss.
You will live to repent this! Filthy lowlife! You dare take her form and beguile me!
My old friend, wasn't it fun? Have we not been this close since our carnage in the fox den?
You abhorrent fraud! My candid words were wasted on your foul ears!
Candid, my hoof! Your revenants are everywhere. I thought you'd have better lies. Quick on your heels, huh? Well then, boy, let us teach this brazen adulterer a lesson.
Vile beast! Your savagery knows no cure. But you will behave once my sourceless water from Tushita drops. I've aided your journey once. Now I shall aid you again on your way to death.
You'll like this.
guy is surprisingly easy, but I do like the boss fight, specifically because there's just so much visualization going on here, you know?
Yin Yang adrift, demise swift.
Very nice.
From yin and yang arises two sides. From land and sky emerges the divide. Now, you shall be feasted upon by my yin-yang fish.
What a stingy host. Such a meager fish. Hardly enough for a platter.
Okay, this is going to be interesting. I say this one's extremely easy. That was a little bit too much.
been revealed, disasters are sure to follow. The turmoil you witness is but a ripple caused by a drop from above.
What? Gone already? Bad news after a good nap. He's gone too far from a furnace servant. A decent lad he was. Decent until ruined by brother Wukong. Then destiny carried him further to fall for the wrong woman. You, go up this way. Check if any way leads up. I'll go look around. The owner might be gone, but her treasure might still be there.
Okay, there's a celestial ribbon. I think I can use that to upgrade one of my things here. So yeah. Lung bomb. Okay, rings. Not a gourd, but okay. Alright, I think I'll stop here for the moment, because that was a pretty good stream. You'll probably see a segment of this stream once I get around to posting it up there. But yeah, okay, let's see real quick. Okay. Mana considerably increases damage executed by the next attack. Okay. No, I don't think I'll do that one. Let's go to the village entrance. Let me go and go to the village entrance and see what it is I'm going to be doing in terms of the upgrades. See if I need 2 ribbons or just one, or just the one will do. If the one will do, then that'd be great. If not, then I guess I gotta get 2 celestial ribbons, which is fine, I guess.
Self-refinement is the way to make golden pills. This is what my ceaseless toil finally yields.
Alright.
No shame in taking the pills. More unfair are the innate skills. What do you think of my work?
Alright. Time for an upgrade now.
Armor and arms. Just ask and there you are.
Alright, okay, so I guess I do need 2 here. So yeah, I need 2 celestial ribbons in order to be able to fully upgrade this stuff. Or rather, I need 3. So yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put myself to the last run where I was at, and then I'm going to go and continue this tomorrow. So yeah. I was hoping to do 2 streams a day, but that's probably not going to be a thing here, I guess. Alright guys, it was a nice time chatting. I will see you all tomorrow. Hopefully.